Yeah, we back. Yeah, we back. Now today, man, we got to talk to my Congolese brothers, man. We got to talk to my brothers from out the Congo. Now, of course, lately, as you already know, we've been talking about the conflict between the Congo and Rwanda, as well as Uganda, the M23 rebel insurgency, etc., etc. And a large part of the conversation, aside from the aggression coming from their neighbors, is the leadership in the Congo, right? Everybody been talking about how the Congo needs leadership. Everybody been talking about how the Congo needs that one person to stand up and stand on business to protect the territorial integrity of the nation. And come to find out, y'all already had that guy. And y'all didn't even tell us, man. But before we get into that, as you already know, the album is out now. Available everywhere. Apple Music, Spotify. Go to the homepage of my YouTube channel, Sahel1816. The album is available everywhere. Enjoy yourself. Now let's get back into it. So yeah, man, everybody been talking about how the Congo needs that patriotic leader to stand on principle and integrity. And come to find out, you already had that. And y'all didn't even tell us, man. How come y'all didn't tell us about Colonel MAMADOU Ndala? When I did some research on the brother, I'm telling you, man, I felt heartbroken. I'm not even Congolese, and I felt heartbroken because this was the guy. This was supposed to be the guy, right? Not only was he the guy, but he had already handled business over 10 years ago, right? When the M23 invaded back in like 2012, come to find out, he had already crushed them way back then. Had them boys running back to Rwanda and Uganda, running for their life. Listen, man, listen, I gotta call out my Congolese brothers. How come y'all didn't tell us about Colonel MAMADOU Ndala? Now, rest in peace to the brother. He passed away back in 2014. He been dead for a while now. But how come y'all didn't tell us? This was supposed to be the guy, right? This was supposed to be the Congolese version of Ibrahim Traore, it seems like, right? I'm telling you, man, I did some research on the brother, and come to find out, man, he had the M23 running for their lives, bro. Running back over the border like roaches when the lights come on, man. He crushed them boys, humiliated them boys, right? Sent them back to their sponsors, sent them back to their backers, right? Sent them back to Kampala and Kigali. Take a look up on the screen. This article came out like a decade ago, right? The Congo defeats the M23 rebels, right? So listen, how come y'all didn't tell us about Colonel MAMADOU Ndala? Now, unfortunately, like I said, the brother passed away. He was killed back in January 2014. And of course, it's like a tragic pattern, right? Whenever you get a black man who's honorable, like I said, who stands on principle, integrity, who defends his nation, who puts it all on the line, for some reason, those men always die before their time, right? For some reason, those men always die a violent death. Those men always get betrayed. And in this instance, apparently, it was no different, right? MAMADOU Ndala also died a violent death. He also was assassinated, unfortunately. But man, y'all already had the guy. This was supposed to be the guy in the Congo, if you ask me. Let's jump into some of these articles. Take a look up on the screen. Colonel MAMADOU Ndala headed the 42nd Battalion Commandos. His troops were on the front line fighting the M23 rebels, who were pushed back in July 2013 for the first time since their rebellion began the previous year. By October, they had been ousted from Goma, a major city in the region, and were pushed up to the Ugandan border. Now, as you already know, the M23 is simply the newest version, the newest rebranding of the various rebel groups that have been sent and backed by Rwanda and Uganda, right? The first one back in the late 90s, the AFDL, then after that, the RCD, then after that, the CNDP, and now we got the M23. You know how Apple be coming out with the brand new iPhone every year? Kagame and Museveni be coming out with the brand new rebel groups, right? So this is the brand new model on the market. The M23, that's the latest model on the market. Now, Colonel MAMADOU Ndala, he was on the front line when the M23 had first emerged, when it first came out, right? When Kagame had first released the M23, Colonel MAMADOU Ndala, he was on the front line, right? Now, let's continue. MAMADOU, as he was known to everyone, stood with his men at the front. As shells whistled overhead, he would be issuing orders into a walkie-talkie or a mobile phone, seemingly oblivious to the cracks of gunfire or the impact of mortars all around. And he instilled discipline in his soldiers. Any infraction will be met with swift punishment. His unit was not feared by civilians, but they were respected. Now, I just gotta ask a question. How come honorable black men are not given the privilege of living long and prosperous lives, right? How come honorable black men always die early? How come they always get killed? How come they always die a violent, traumatic death? How come honorable black men can't live and grow old and, you know, see their grandkids and things like that and see their kids grow old? How come honorable black men are always dying in their 20s and their 30s and their 40s? How come we can't live till our 90s and our 100s like everybody else? How come the most corrupt black men get to live to their 95 and the honorable black men get to die when they're like 33? This is ridiculous, bro. Anyway, let's jump into this article that came out back in January 2014 that talks about the death of Colonel MAMADOU, right? A key DRC Army commander killed in an ambush. This article came out back 11 years ago. A Congolese military commander who helped the government defeat the M23 rebels has been killed in a rocket attack. Colonel MAMADOU Ndala died from injuries sustained when his convoy was ambushed in North Kivu province on Thursday. At least 2 other security officers were also killed. A Congolese army officer and 4 Ugandan rebels have been sentenced to death for the killing of a colonel credited with making great strides in restoring peace to the chaotic east of the Congo. Now, I just want to say this. Now, I'm an outsider, so I just want to give the disclaimer. I'm an outsider, right? I don't claim to be an expert on every single dynamic at play within Congolese society. But from what I can gather as an observer, there seems to be a recurring theme within Congolese society that I think my brothers in the Congo, y'all need to get that in order. Y'all need to get that in check. And what I'm talking about is this constant habit, it seems like, of black men within Congolese society teaming up with outside elements from Rwanda or Uganda to destabilize their own country. And I say it with all due respect. Like I said, I'm an outsider. But from what I can tell, there seems to be a loyalty issue within Congolese society. Even in this instance of the assassination of Colonel MAMADOU, right? They said that it was some elements within the Congolese military who had collaborated with some elements in Uganda to assassinate Colonel MAMADOU, right? Even with these constant reoccurring rebel insurgencies, right? You'll have certain individuals who collaborate with, let's say, Rwanda or Uganda in order to launch a rebellion against their own country. And that's why I say it seems to be a loyalty issue within Congolese society, right? Why is that a constant thing that always happens? Why do you have men running over the border to Rwanda and Uganda trying to seek support from Kagame or Museveni so they can destabilize their own government or start a rebellion or assassinate their own countrymen? I could understand if it happens once or twice because every country deals with espionage and things like that. But it seems like in Congolese society, why is it so many times there are factions that are siding with outsiders against their own country? And like I said, I say this with all due respect, but I think that's one of the biggest issues that the brothers in the Congo are going to have to get in check. You're going to have to get that in order. You're not going to really be able to establish anything if you have a lot of factions or individuals with dual allegiances, right? You don't know if they're loyal to the Republic or if they're loyal to some outside government. And I think it's those dual allegiances that lead to the incompetence that we see from the Congolese military today. Because how come the Congolese military is not able to vanquish and smack up the M23 in the same way they did back in 2013 with Colonel MAMADOU Ndala? And even when you had a black man like Colonel MAMADOU Ndala, how come there were elements inside the Congolese military that collaborated with elements in Uganda to assassinate the good brother? Come on, man. Like, that's crazy, bro. That's unacceptable, bro. Anyways, man, let's get into some of these clips. You know, let's talk about the good brother Colonel MAMADOU Ndala. Run the footage. Let's go.
I am Lieutenant Colonel MAMADOU Mustafa Ndala. I am the commander of the 42nd Commando Building of the Rapid Reaction Forces. We support the political decision of our country, and we follow the orders given by the Supreme Commander, none other than His Excellency, President Joseph Kabila. A saying goes, the greatest of men is the one who sacrifices for others. I, Colonel MAMADOU, who is in front of you, I personally participate in all the most necessary fronts of this republic. Here, for example, that was facing the enemy. Here on the skull, bullet traces. Here as well, these are bullet traces. In certain intimate parts, these are bullet traces that enter here and exit here. There are about 12 bullet traces in my body. But if we do all this for our state, it is out of love for the country. It is love for our people. And it is the defense of our territorial integrity.
Now, once again, rest in peace to Colonel MAMADOU Ndala. This was the brother, he had them M23 boys running for their life over the Rwandan border 10 years ago, but had them boys running for their life back to Kagame. Kagame, please help.
Actuellement, je suis le commandant de la défense de la ville de Goma. Et n'était l'armée étant une société de respect, d'obéissance, ces jours, j'allais faire des actions personnelles pour venger la chute de Goma et pour venger l'humiliation de notre État, de nos peuples. Mais il y a un autre cœur qui me conseille. Mamadou, la guerre, c'est pas une seule journée.
Ha! You heard what the brother said. Rest in peace to the brother. He said, listen, if the army was not based on respect and order, I would have taken personal action to seek revenge for the fall of Goma, for the humiliation of our nation and of our people. right? You see, listen, y'all already had the guy. This was the leader right here. Y'all already had the guy. How y'all killed this brother? How y'all killed this brother and all the corrupt men in the Congo get to live long and prosperous lives? That's what I don't understand about the world that we live in. You see, the honorable black man gets chopped down. He gets killed in the middle of the street like a dog, right? And the men engaged in corruption and embezzlement, they get to live long and prosperous lives. They get to live until they're 89 years old, right? But the honorable black man, right? The black man with honor and integrity, he gets chopped down. He gets killed when he's like 35 years old, right? That is the fate that awaits the honorable black man, death. That's the reality, right? You see, the corrupt black man, he gets to enjoy wealth, prosperity, luxury, right? But the honorable black man, right? The black man with principle and integrity, he gets death, right? That's what's reserved for him, death. You see, this brother, he put his life on the line, right? He was on the front line defending the territorial integrity of the nation. Why is this the fate always reserved for the honorable black man? I don't understand it, bro. I don't understand it. I mean, of course, it's always going to be honorable to die for what you believe in, but still, how come we are not allowed the privilege of living until old age? How come the honorable black man cannot live until he's 95 years old like everybody else? Why do we got to get chopped down in our youth? Come on, bro. Like I said, this brother had already defeated the M23. He had already defeated Kagame's men. Them boys had their track shoes on running back to Rwanda, running back to Uganda.
The soldiers in the Democratic Republic of Congo have made a decisive gain in their battle with fighters in the M23 rebel movement.
The M23 say they now want the fighting to stop. Congolese soldiers say that some of the dissidents who gave themselves up are from Uganda and Rwanda. But the rebels' recent string of defeats suggests any foreign support had stopped.
The M23 rebel group in the Democratic Republic of Congo has called an end to its 20-month insurgency. The rebels surrendered overnight, and those that remained fled across the border into Rwanda or Uganda.
I'm not sure if you heard it in that video clip, but they were playing some excerpts from a news broadcast, from a radio broadcast in the background, right? They said, now keep in mind, this was back in the first M23 rebellion back in like 2012, right? They said the M23 fighters, they want the fighting to stop. You see, Colonel MAMADOU had them boys waving the white flag, right? Had Kagame's men waving the white flag of surrender. And they also said that some of the so-called rebels who had surrendered and gave themselves up were actually from Rwanda and Uganda. They weren't even Congolese citizens, right? They weren't even from the Congo. They crossed over the border from Rwanda and Uganda. And towards the end, they said the recent string of defeats that the M23 had suffered suggests that they no longer had the backing of their sponsors, right? If you remember back during that time, Kagame had withdrew some of his support. That's why the M23 went into the shadows for like a decade, right? Them boys fell back, ran over the border back to Rwanda and Uganda, because during that time, the international community was putting a lot of pressure on Kagame. Take a look up on the screen. Back in December 2012, Obama urges Kagame to end the DRC rebel support. U.S. President Barack Obama has stressed to Rwandan President Paul Kagame the importance of ending all support to rebels in the neighboring Democratic Republic of the Congo. Also, take a look up on the screen. U.S. blocks military aid to Rwanda over alleged backing of M23 child soldiers. Take a look up on the screen. The EU partially freezes aid to Rwanda, right? So back during this time, right, Kagame buckled under the pressure, right? The Kagame buckled under the pressure. That's why back in 2013, the M23 had to run back to Rwanda and Uganda and hide in the shadows for like a decade, because the international community had put that pressure on Kagame, and he probably stopped sending them weapons. He probably stopped sending them supplies. He probably stopped providing reconnaissance, probably stopped providing intelligence. So yeah, they had to fall back, right? They had to fall back. They had to retreat back over the border because they no longer had the capacity to maintain the war effort. Now, the difference with this time around is it seems that the international community is kind of dragging their feet. Kagame has already shown that if the temperature gets too hot, he's going to withdraw, right? If the temperature gets too hot, he's going to retreat. But it seems that this time around, the international community is more hesitant. Obviously, Rwanda does have some leverage in this scenario because they've positioned themselves as one of the main suppliers to the rich minerals of the African continent. So due to the fact that Rwanda holds the leverage as one of the key exporters of critical minerals coming out of the Congo, a lot of nations are kind of hesitant to step on Rwanda's toes right now because they still want to maintain access to those minerals. And also, unfortunately for the Congolese military, it seems that they don't have a similar figure as Colonel MAMADOU Ndala this time around. They don't seem to have that, galvanizing figure that's loved by the citizens, that's loved by the population, that really could be a patriotic figure to really lead the nation. That was the guy, right? That was the guy. That was supposed to be the guy in the Congo to turn things around. He had the energy, he had the love, he had the popularity, he had the patriotism. And listen, unfortunately, black men like that, what they get is death, right? Black men like that are not given the privilege of being able to live until old age. Black men like that get chopped down, get killed, get assassinated, get eliminated. Unfortunately, that's the fate reserved for the honorable black man, unfortunately. Listen, man, once again, rest in peace to Colonel MAMADOU Ndala. Listen, my brothers from the Congo, my Congolese brothers, get into the comment section and let me understand. Try to get me to understand how y'all let MAMADOU Ndala get killed, man. Come on, man. That was the guy. That was the one. That was the guy. When you get one of them guys, you got to appreciate those guys. You got to protect those guys. Because as is typical with human nature, you never understand the value of what you have until it is gone. And now, fast forward to today, in 2025, the M23 is back, right? But imagine how things could have been different if Colonel MAMADOU Ndala was still here. Because now it's a famine in the land for that type of leadership. Congo is in desperate need of that patriotic leader who has the ability to galvanize and unite the nation. But unfortunately, that brother's gone. You know, Colonel MAMADOU Ndala, he's gone. That was the guy. That was supposed to be the guy. Unfortunately, we got to learn to appreciate those black men while they're still here. Rest in peace to the brother. Anyways, man, it's your boy Nevercard. That's Salim back in the Billy. Yes, indeed. Cash App in the description. Support the album. Hey. Album out now. Album available everywhere. Sahel 1816. Support the album. Support the channel. And I'm gone. Peace.
Gotta go get it. I'm never waiting. Stay the trends and I'm innovative. Shorty, she on me. She said she love me. Straight to the top and I'm elevated. Straight to the top and I'm never stopping. Running my business. I'm enterprising. Once that money, I get it fast. Stay in my lane and I hit the gas. Counting my blessings and make it last. Don't want a fraction. I want it all. Stick to the code and the protocol. Feel like a king and I'll never fall. Fuck up a check when I'm in the mall. Riding that German, I'm in the Benz. Plotting revenge, I don't make amends. Hitting that corner and make a bend. Up in the sky like commercial pilots. Keep it 100, I move in silence. Know we united, they can't divide us. Say that she love when I give her guidance. Told me she love me, I know it's real. Know they gon' hate, but I know the deal. Know they gon' hate when you so official. Paying my dues like I'm sacrificial. Handle my business so beneficial. Ride on my enemies with the miss. Ride on my enemies with a chop. Coming for blood, make them call the doctor. Coming for blood, I ain't showing mercy. Probably gon' kill me or try to hurt me. Probably gon' kill me, I keep it tinted. Bulletproof vehicle when I whip it. Came from the bottom, I really live it. Really, my life is a motion picture. Lately, I feel like the trending topic. Keep it authentic, I keep it honest. Up at the bank with a new deposit. Call me the boss and I pay the cost. Feel like a rocket, I'm taking off. Come to the crib and she take it off. Gotta go get it, I'm never waiting. Stay in the trends and I'm innovative. Shorty, she on me, she said she love me. Straight to the top and I'm elevated. Straight to the top and I'm never stopping. Running my business, I'm enterprising. Once that money, I get it fast. Stay in my lane and I hit the gas. Counting my blessings and make it last. Don't want a fraction, I want it all. Stick to the code and the protocol. Feel like a king and I'll never fall. Fuck up a check when I'm in the mall. Riding that German, I'm in the Benz. Plotting revenge, I don't make amends. Hitting that corner and make it bend. Go. Never wait. Innovative. Say she love me. Elevated. Never stopping. Enterprising. Get it fast.